This video is made for adult collectors because I did it again. I didn't finish the model kit in time, and now it's all over my desk. I need to stop doing that. I may or may not have done an oopsie and gotten rid of the instructions. And now I have to remember how all of these work. That's gonna be fun. I was surprised by the amount of people who asked me for a full video of this thing when I posted a short and images on social media, but here we are, Blokees Bruticus. This is actually way nicer than Devastator, like way nicer. And not to say that Devastator is bad, but this just takes a lot of the feedback from that and improves on it, mostly. This was sent over by Blokees, by the way. They have a wide range of Transformers kits on their website. You can check them out linked below. But yeah, in order to get this, you need to get all the waves of Defender that carry the vehicles, but here we have all of them, and they look adorable. They're so small, but are packed with detail. You have to build these. They are model kits, and their builds are pretty simple because of how small they are. They aren't in scale with their wheels line, which I kind of wish they were, but at the same time, that series is on its own thing and has its own swindle and stuff, so I'm not going to be mixing them together. My least favorite is probably Vortex. They didn't paint the cockpit, which I find a bit strange. I do like how he uses the elbow joint as the gun at the front. That's actually a really cool use of parts. And the propellers spin, although they don't spin that well. Blastoff is just a stubby little dude. Like, look at him. It's hilarious. It's like if you made a plush out of Blastoff's alt mode. I like the colors and the separation, though getting him into combined mode can be a bit of a pain, but we'll get to that later. Swindle is really nice and very yellow. There is a lot of color up front, and then the back is just an endless sea of that yellow. That is until you plug the guns in. That makes it look a lot more broken up and nice. Plus the guns rotate and tilt. Onslaught is very cool because he's the truck and the trailer which moves, and it's got a posable gun at the top. The wheels on the back of the trailer are static, but that's because that's where the combined joint plugs into, so I don't mind. But my favorite of the whole set has to be Brawl. Brawl gets a leg up because he is my favorite Constructicon, but it's also just a nice ass little kit. The turret rotates and goes up and down, and the guns on the back rotate and go up and down. Together they look fantastic as a team. It makes me really excited for the Age of the Primes one coming out this year too. Wow, last year 2 Devastators and this year 2 Bruticuses. Hopefully whatever combiner comes out next year, we get a corresponding Blokees one too. I kind of like this sort of duo. These 5 do combine if you get the extra parts box. It is sold separately, but you take all of these bits here and then throw them onto the vehicles and you get a Bruticus. All right, let's make a Bruticus. We're gonna need the rest of these little idiots as well. All of this assembles into a man, sort of. Well, not all of it. Some of it gets left behind, which is a little unfortunate. But with Brawl, take this off. Okay, Blastoff, you gotta stop wobbling. Take the turret off. Then you want to take this piece here and you want to plug this in like that to sort of bulk out the tank. Then plug this in. You can also just leave that on there if you want to make it look weird, I guess, but you've got that. Then you take the foot and you plug the foot in, and that is Brawl's leg done. Swindle, very similar. You take this off, you fold this down, but you want to also remove his grill because that's the connection point. And then you take this part, you plug it into here to bulk out the leg. Then you take his foot, plug that into there, and that's your 2 legs all done. The arms are a little bit more complicated. They require you to pull more bits off, so we're gonna get that out. Then you gotta pull this piece in the inside out, which is easier said than done, and plug that back into here. And then you take this brown bit and you wanna plug this into here and fold up all these fins. Take this, plug this in there, and then we'll get one of the fists in, and that is an arm ready to go. Vortex, similar story. That's gonna pop off, I guess. That's why. You take this off, then you take this section and you plug that in right there. We'll put the helicopter back together. What's cool is he's also got his little guns on the side, which is neat, but there's one more bit, this bit. Take this, plug this into there, then you plug this into here, rotate it this way, take the other fist, plug that into that, and that's the arm done. So that's the limbs. Now the torso. Torso's a lot of bits. So we'll take the cannon off. This we don't need anymore. We're gonna take this off, and then you wanna split this up like that. This will become part of the gun, whereas these will become part of the shoulders. So what we're gonna do here is we're going to take these and slot them in to either side. Then you take these bits, they're gonna plug into the wheels on either side, that to make the actual shoulders. Then we're gonna take the chest plate, and the chest plate plugs in back here, so it's reversed now. Then you wanna take the new cannon section, plug that in. And what's cool is they've made it in such a way that it's not gonna rotate or fold, it'll just stay like this, which I think is cool. Take the head, plug the head in. Before we plug the crotch in, you need to take this off. You need to take off Onslaught's grill, which is a little easier said than done, especially considering I just cut my nails. That hurt. Then you plug the waist in. Then you plug in the chest plate. And that is the torso of Bruticus. His knees are not. Then the gun. The gun's pretty cool. You take that bit from Onslaught, you plug it into there, and then you take this little hinge piece, put it there, and that's his gun. Plug in the legs on either side. I think this is the right way. We're gonna assume that's the right way. Then we'll take the arm, plug that into there. Can't even see that. Take this other arm, plug that into there. Put the gun in his hand, and there you have Bruticus with his extra hand, because he comes with an extra hand. These bits don't really have anywhere to go, which is a little unfortunate. They just sort of hang out at the side. I really wish they had at least some place to store. If you got those extra like Blokees ball joints and things, you could probably figure out a way to do it, but stock out of the box, these don't really go anywhere. That's a nice looking Bruticus. I love all the nice paint detail on the chest and the crotch section. There is so much going on there, you never get bored looking at it. The proportions are nice, though he is a tad bit on the narrow side from shoulder to shoulder. I'm not the biggest fan of all of this being leftover. I kind of wish these had a place to go, but I like those cover bits for the legs that beef him up. I think those work rather well. He comes with an alternate open hand and a gun, and he just feels so expressive. The head sculpt is perfect to me. They nailed the Bruticus look. He's also pretty clean too, and he feels a bit more stable than Devastator. Devastator was fine, but here the tolerances and the way they did the shoulders make him feel a lot more stable and sturdy. Sometimes a bit too sturdy. His knees are very tight. Other than that though, everything else feels pretty well toleranced. There's some weird things going on here. Otherwise, it's great, but the shoulders and the thighs and the knees are a bit strange. The head is on a very nice ball joint. You get a little bit of tilt on that, but you get some very nice up and down motion going on there, as well as your full 360 degrees. The shoulders, they can do a full 360 as well, and they can go out. They do bump into the head when you move them out, and they are like the trigger happy style shoulders, so they go out, and then you have to rotate them this way to make them go forward. They're a little awkward to use just because of these bits like to bump into here and into the head. He does have a bicep rotation on both sides and 90-degree bend at the elbow at both sides. This arm, this part comes off a little too easily for my liking, at least on my copy. This bit does not like to stay on. It'll fall off like every once in a while, and it's a bit annoying. Not to mention they're very thin pegs, so I kind of fear them like snapping at some point if I keep putting them on. It does have a ball joint at the wrist, same with the open hand, which has a ball joint at the wrist as well. He does have a waist joint. The hip skirt is one solid piece, so it moves up that far. And unlike a Gundam where the hip skirt being one solid piece, you could just cut it in half. This one you can't. It's just a simple C-clip. I wish they put like two ball joints in the middle here like they do on a Gundam kit, so you could clip this in half and then have it move separately if you want to. But the hip skirt moves up. The hips can go forward that far, they can go back that far, they can go in and out. No thigh swivel. There is a little bit of play at that ball joint there to simulate one, but not enough for my liking. He does have a swivel, but it's below the knee because this joint goes up in here, but it doesn't swivel at the top because of how this entire cavity is constructed. Now the knees, they are really stiff. They are double jointed and they bend, but they are very stiff. And this one I actually noticed while filming. I don't know how well you can see that, but it is stressing right there. So I might have to take this apart and sort of loosen this up a little bit because that's a tiny bit unfortunate. This one is extremely stiff at the lower joint. Like I don't like bending that at all. So we'll see if I can loosen that up. And then the feet, they can swivel a little bit and you get tilt and you get forward and back. That was the wrong order, but you saw it. I do like the tank treads on the feet, though both of them share that, even though Swindle doesn't have tank treads, but oh well. He is super posable. Like he's really easy to get into a lot of nice action poses, but I just like the shoulders. I don't see how they could have gotten around that with the way that this works, but the hips, I do wish, because there is a lot of space in here. You could cut a thigh swivel up here. Their smaller guys have them thigh swivels now as well, so you could probably do that here. But yeah, he's still pretty fun. I like this. It's a bit of a thing to try and get everything for it, but once you have all of it together, it is a nice small scale Bruticus. I just really wish he had thigh swivels. Yeah, maybe next time Blokees will do that. But if you have the Combaticons already or just like the concept of this, then I would recommend it if you're okay with buying 3 cases of Defender to get the little guys. But that's been my look at Blokees Bruticus. Follow me on Twitter and Instagram, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.